All right, so somebody sent me something that they thought I should respond to because of my work with, mainly talking about men's issues and feminism and stuff like that. So I thought I would respond to this. I don't normally respond to drama. I think of drama as like, this journalist said this thing, this person has said this thing on Twitter, stuff like that. And it's a little like, I mean, it's fine. Like, I get that a lot of people like to report on these things. But normally I don't get into it because you end up repeating yourself a lot. And I feel like I repeat myself too much as it is. But I will respond to this. So apparently IGN France editor-in-chief had a meltdown. And essentially he's claimed that Stellar Blade is getting women to remove themselves from this plane. Put themselves in another dimension. Go to the afterworld or whatever we call it, the afterbirth. I don't know. So I thought, all right, that sounds like it's something that I have experience with. So on the other channel that I work at, which is Badger Live Streams, which is part of another website called Honey Badger Radio. I know, I'm sorry, the titles are all, there's too many, and it's not my fault. Allison is a spurg, but anyway. We talk a lot about feminism, and one of the primary features of feminism, not bugs, but features, is that it uses women's perpetual state of anxiety and panic and depression as a weapon against the rest of the world, because feminists scare women shitless, and then when women react afraid because the people that they're supposed to trust the most, the feminists, are telling them that the sky is falling and it's because of men, then they panic, and basically the cycle continues because feminism doesn't offer any solutions. It doesn't have anything to offer women. It is not for women. It is for the people in power. It is for globalism, communism, whatever you want to call it. And women are just an extremely useful tool for this because that women make an appeal to the very thing that feminism claims does not exist, which is men not hating women. So, and also the thing that they claim does exist, but only exists to oppress women, that is patriarchy. But it is men that are always ready to help women whenever women are in any distress whatsoever. But anyway, one of the ways that feminists do this is they tell women that society, which they doesn't mean anything, it's just like a word that they use as one of these like buzzwords, tells women that they can never quite satisfy everyone because of unrealistic beauty standards. So when I heard about this Stellar Blade thing, I had a feeling that that was what it was going to be about. But I mean, I knew this already. Essentially, feminists and by and large women do not like anything that men like, especially if that thing looks like a woman. So anyway, this is being shared by Grums on Twitter. And he says, IGN France, IGN FRA, editor-in-chief melts down. Stellar Blade is literally killing women. Thanks to @Topek899 for the translation. So he got somebody else to translate for him over here. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look on the right side, there's like a small box, a very small print. I'm not going to click it. But that's the French version of things. And Topek899 translated it. And is what he says. He answered, quote, "Yes, no problem. Go tell that to the women who are hit, killed, denigrated, or who commit suicide because they cannot live up to the fictional standards expected by men. The problem is not the sexy design itself, except that it sucks compared to others, but hey, that doesn't matter, but the percentage of males who will only want this type of fictional body in reality. Obviously, we understand that this does not shock people who think that women are objects who must obey and be beaten. This design makes us sigh and roll our eyes, and we laugh at anyone who needs it, man or woman, but that's it. The certainly clashing remark in the text, which targets the entire creative process, not necessarily a specific designer or the game director, this is obvious to anyone who knows a little French, only has this impact because a good portion of gamers have become too fragile due to being fed the patriarchy," end quote. So, this French editor-in-chief is claiming that men liking Stellar Blade, by the way, a lot of women like it too, just to not to exclude them, the women who like it, shout out to you. I see you, ladies. The people who like Stellar Blade are fragile due to being fed patriarchy, despite the fact that this person is claiming that the existence of a fictional character in a video game whose body is based on the model of a real person, that's a real body, okay, that's not being fragile. Like the people who are enjoying this content are the fragile ones. So, I mean, this is like, you know, what they do. This is Darvo. This is projection. And if you don't already know this, there are 3 rules when it comes to leftist, communist, feminist, social justice, warrior, wokey types. 1, they always project. 2, they always lie. And 3, they always double down. So expect that because they're 100% committed to their religion. They are more zealous than probably anyone else on the planet when it comes to their belief system. And they will always double down because they are certain that they are on the right side of history, because that's what their ideology is based on. And I gotta say, as someone who's been doing this Gamergate shit for like 10 years now, it warms my heart that people are starting to see what I've been saying all of these years, and they are coming to this realization. So anyway, one other thing I want to add too is that it's important to note that for these people, none of this is casual. None of this is recreation. They don't want you to be able to escape. They don't want you to be able to relax. This is why they put it in everything that you love, because everything to them is political. Everything. And I'm going to prove it because somebody made a comment on a comment that I made that demonstrates this. So this is a tweet from X, of course, and there is a review of Helldivers 2. Not that I care about their reviews, because I knew the game was going to be good when I heard it was announced, because I played the first one. I loved it. But they said the original review has this headline, which I'm sure is clickbait anyway, and I didn't click on it, and I don't suggest you click on it either. It says, yeah, you're fascist in Helldivers 2, but it's all so intentionally over the top that it's impossible not to smile. And then there's a link to their review. And I just want to say that I don't think Helldivers 2 is necessarily fascism if you know what fascism really means. This is a fictional universe where essentially it's governed by a computer that enlists and conscripts people, and it uses patriotism, like extreme patriotism, to the point of it being parody in order to motivate you to play the game. But it really is just a game. It's not, that's all, it's really just a game, guys. Like, seriously, this is not that serious. Or is it? Well, let's find out. So I basically made the clarification that it is managed democracy, and that is actually very different. Now, of course, whether or not people are really, you know, like you could say that countries like North Korea are democracies because they have elections, but Kim Jong-un always wins. So yes, you can make the argument for that, and I'm not making an argument to the otherwise, but I don't think that the word fascist is the appropriate term, and I also believe the word fascist is really overused to describe basically everything that means anything authoritarian or nationalist, and that's just incorrect. Like, we can be nationalists and not be authoritarian, you know? So anyway, this kind of went into a bit of a back and forth. People were sending me messages and, you know, guided democracy and stuff like that. And I thought it was funny because they were kind of like spurging out a little bit on this. And frankly, to me, I think that the setting of the game is simply a backdrop, a premise on which the game is based so that you can play the game. Like that's basically it. It's an aesthetic. It's costuming, it's decoration. It doesn't affect gameplay. It's not, nobody's like wondering about their own personal philosophies after they play Helldivers for 8 hours. Like no one's going, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have these, but these people, they think that this stuff really matters. And well, I'll get to this. So we go a little bit back and forth. I'm asking questions. I'm like, okay, so if you think that this makes us the bad guys, then are we worse than the automatons, the bugs, you know, because like the bugs are pretty bad, the automatons are pretty bad, like, and of course they're like, well, it's obviously the fault of the, you know, Super Earth is to blame for everything. So there is like this woke thing coming out, right? Like, Super Earth is the hegemony, which I mentioned this in a video I just uploaded. Super Earth is the hegemonic institution, and these people have to be against hegemony. It doesn't matter what it stands for. They got to be against it, full stop. And the more like humans it is, like in a fictional sense, the more hegemonic it must be. This is why they think that Starship Troopers is a fascist. It's about a fascist in society, even though if you look at the way that it actually operates, it's far from that. It's more like a libertarian meritocracy, right? So, like, but they don't care about that. They see, oh, it's human beings, and it's got this fascy, like, you know, this fascy like skin on it, so therefore it's fascy, but it's not, right? And it's because they don't really like their media literacy isn't the best to say something that's kind of like been said before. But here's the thing. Matt said, this guy Matt responded to me. He went back and forth. He's pretty sure that he's like got a 1,000 IQ, and he said it's a political game. Almost every game is political and always has been. Art is political. Very few games worth playing are not political. Pokemon, Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald are political. They're about eco-terrorism and climate change. So this makes my point that these people think everything is political because they see the political in everything. I don't know if Pokemon is political. I never played it. But some of you might be surprised to learn that Pokemon is about climate change. And that Helldivers 2, you are the bad guys, and I guess you shouldn't play the game because you'd be promoting fascism? I don't know. I guess let the bugs take over. Because if you don't do anything in Helldivers, the bugs advance towards Super Earth. And the bots advance towards Super Earth. Is that not colonization? Well, I mean, you could say that, but then you'd be using their logic, which really doesn't make sense, and you shouldn't use it, because that means you're operating within their framework, and they will always win in their framework, even if you demolish their arguments. You are accepting their premise. All right, well, anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, and like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Long live Vivian.